the young people speaking about policy and building policy that means something to them, right? We say nothing about us without us, which is the name of their presentation. But really, we have to be thinking about how do we build policy that better supports them, by, for, and with them. And these ideas are not new at all, but they're hard to do. And so we have to make it our intention to do them, because the systems that were built long before I was born, and they don't unite us. They often divide us. And so it is us, we the people built it, we the people need to change it, which is what Roberto's talking about, and we have to do it with them. So we wanted the young people to be here and talk about what does that mean to build policy for them. And after that, we're gonna have a conversation with some policymakers and people who are catching policy in California, which all of you are, about the impact of policy on our system's ability to unite in care and community and in healing and wellness at the local level. Does it help us do that? Or sometimes does it make it harder for us to do that? We're gonna talk about that. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna invite Kia back up.
My name is Nakia Bell. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am proud to represent, it's a her movement happening in Sacramento, California. I do it because growing up in South Central Los Angeles, there weren't a lot of spaces for girls like me to just grow and be my most authentic self. This organization is dedicated to girls, women, and femmes to connect, learn, heal, and celebrate the power of sisterhood. Giving them the room and the space to lead. Oftentimes, adults forget when we were young and we just think we know it all and that ego just takes over, but it's them that need the opportunity and positions and spaces to grow and lead, because we're counting on them to carry us into this future. Our impact is centered on empowering our sister stories and voices by creating safe, youth-led spaces, programs, and leadership opportunities. So what does that mean as far as safety? That they're able to come into these spaces and feel that they belong, feel that they can see themselves reflected with the adults in the room, that they trust that they can bring their challenges and what, their worries at home or at school. Our focus, we are committed to taking up space for Black, Latinx, Native, Asian American, Pacific Islander girls, women, and femmes, period. Can you say period? It's okay, adults, you can say period. And our programs are designed to uplift, educate, inspire youth through our programs, leadership development, mentorship, healing circles, and experiential learning opportunities across Sacramento. You can't talk about it without taking them to the spaces for them to learn about it. You can't talk about them going to college if you don't take them to the college campus. You can't talk about mental health and wellness if you don't take them to spaces where they're able to see it in practice. So we are about it. We take our babies every year. Where we go, ladies? So they can feel the sand spread between their toes and to feel the ocean breeze as they meditate, as they throw their worries to the wind and know that they are powerful. SistaBees recognizes the complex and layered traumas experienced by femmes of color, including systemic racism, gender bias, intergenerational trauma, and community violence. Currently, Sacramento County is facing a continued rise in youth mental health crisis, which disproportionately impacts our BIPOC youth, especially Black women and femme-identified youth. When it comes to assessing safe spaces and mental health programs and services, it continues to be limited access. A lot of us in positions of power and influence expect these young folks to find transportation and resources to make it to these spaces or to connect to these resources. Stop it. You need to meet our young folk where they are, meet their families and their caregivers and them and have conversations. It's not just the expectation that, oh, they're going to find the resource on the website or make it to the space. I have a team of 3. I'm included. We are providing transportation to, we transported 15 young folk this morning. We use our budget to make that happen. So it's so important for us, again, to be about it. So that's why we wear these shirts, take up space. For a lot of our young folks, they feel that their voices don't matter. When we meet them at their campus, not just dropping that flyer on a bulletin board, when we meet them on their campus, they're like, what do you mean to be a leader? What do you mean my youth mental health matters? At home, no one cares, no one listens. No one, we don't know what we're gonna do. My mom doesn't have a job. We don't have a car. We're unhoused. Our father is incarcerated. What do you mean mental health matters? When can I be able to take care of myself? That's selfish. So we let them know, no, it's not selfish. It's okay to not be okay. And you have a community here that's here for you to support you, love you, and be there for you. My sister that I'm gonna bring up in a few moments, when COVID happened and the world shut down, remember that time for adults? Imagine how it was for young folk. They were calling us and like, what are we supposed to do? I don't know where to go or to connect with folk. I did not know how to use Zoom, but I learned during COVID. And we created spaces, Jen and Queen, to reach out and say, hey, you're not alone. Let's connect on Zoom. You need some time just to talk, to spark joy, and that's what we did. And I invited my sister, like, hey, bring your LCSW. We need a sister circle. I don't got the budget, girl, but let's do it. And we made it happen. Our goal was to serve 7 to 10 girls. I think we 60 strong, 3 years going. Clap it up for that. So, youth mental health matters, our sister stories matter, our sisters' lives matter, and their futures matter. And if you want to holler at me about program, I'm here till Tuesday. So I'm going to skip these slides. I will highlight, we take our sisters to camp in Sonoma. We took 40 young folk in July. And if you didn't hear us, if you live in Sonoma County, the neighbors did. And we were able to take them because in summer it's so expensive for these programs. And we were able to take them and love up on them, to talk about wellness and to share the CYBHI resources, to share the Saluna app and the cool swag. So SistaBees is about serving and loving our youth. So please find one of us and to take up space and let's partner and connect. And that's them at camp. Sisterhood is the best medicine, and I love y'all. Y'all know that. I love every single one of them. So nothing about us without us. It is my pleasure to introduce my great, great friend. I love her to pieces. Ready? Ameshia Author is a passionate advocate for health, community, and personal contribution. As an expert in mental health, she has made a significant impact through her acclaimed children's books, which center around mental health awareness and self-empowerment. Her works, Brown Boy, What Can You Be? Benjamin the Brave, a story about anxiety, Matthew Meditates, and Brown Girl, You Are Beautiful. And what's the new book, sis? You Are Not Selfish. Her passion comes from her late mother, Bridget, a beloved matriarch and teacher's assistant in special education. We salute her. Ameshia's ultimate personal and professional goal is to ensure that everyone she encounters feels seen, loved, enriched, fostering a sense of belonging and emotional empowerment wherever she goes. Please join me in welcoming Ameshia Author.
Thank you so much, Kia. Just give it up for Kia. And the evidence of SistaBees and of their leadership is how loud their youth clap for them. So do notice that throughout the day. It is amazing to stand up here in a moment to introduce this panel, but also looking out at the youth that I know and some that I will get to know. Your faces are giving me the calm that I need to facilitate this conversation. I am excited to be here with Breaking Barriers. There is no better way to explore how we can build stronger, more resilient systems to support California's youth and families than by hearing directly from our youth. I'm a native Californian, a former teacher, a current author, and a licensed clinical social worker. I've spent my career helping families navigate mental health challenges in books, in schools, in nonprofits, in private practice, and in the community. I've worked with kids, parents, and grandparents, really every part of the family system. Aunties too. Shout out to the aunties. Shout out to the aunties. It's the best role in the family. Like, I'm a lot of roles in my family, but auntie is no better. Because you get to do what you want and go home. You do. I absolutely love what I do. I believe in mental health. I believe in community. And I believe in our ability to learn from each other and to work together to do better. As my mama used to say, each one teach one. And we are in for a treat today because we get to learn from 3 incredible young people. We have Jenaya, Queen, and Jen. And Jenaya is going to start us off with her very own introduction. So would you start us off by sharing your name, your preferred pronouns, and the expertise you bring to this conversation?
Hello? Okay, y'all. What's crackalacking, y'all? I'm Jenaya Daniel. I'm a high school senior at Luther Burbank, and I'm a proud sister youth of SistaBees. And I'm just so glad to be here and share my experience and my outlook on mental health and how everybody in this room could better those of youth and also adults too.
Hey, let's clap it up. We got time to clap for everybody on this panel. That's what we're going to do. That was practice. Let's clap it up. And next, Queen, will you please give us your pronouns and your full name, and the expertise you bring to this conversation?
Hi, my name is Queen Green. I am a youth activist, been a youth activist since I was 16 years old. Pronouns is she, her, hers. I am a Sac State alumni, and the expertise that I bring is um, just being the prime example of what youth in spaces like these can be later on.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Jenalyn Phahn. I am a current Sac State student, a Seattle native, and a former youth organizer for Youth Forward, if you guys know that org. I have overcame barriers, and I'm excited to share my story with each and every one of you guys. So thank you for having me today.
Can you share a time when you felt stigma or judgment about mental health at home, school, or in your community? How did this experience make you feel, and how did it influence your decision with reaching out for help? Let's begin with Jenaya.
Yes. Just feeling judgment and stigma has just came from growing up in a Black household and always hearing, especially from my dad, that like those mental health problems are like white people things and like they're like a influence that they're putting onto us, and it just has not necessarily hard, but dealing with self harm in the past, it just made me feel like my mental health and like stuff like that wasn't as important as those in privileged communities. And it just made me feel like I wasn't necessarily a human being with mental health that mattered as much as anybody else's.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And so it sounds like the messages you were getting at home made you feel that this isn't something that was important for you to pay attention to, and it wasn't something you should do something about. Did that influence you reaching out for help?
Um, it kind of took me someone being on the edge for them to finally realize that I needed help. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that discouragement of this isn't your identity as a Black person, you had to get to a dire place before reaching out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your story and how you're offering it in this space. Queen, would you like to add to this conversation?
Yes, to agree with Jenaya, living in a Black household, mental health and depression is deemed as a non serious issue most of the time. I was told there was no reason for me to stress because I was so young, or, your parents dealt with the issue. So it was a lot. I wasn't allowed to cry, it was deemed as weak. So, as for being a youth dealing with mental health, it was always something that was negative. I never got the proper answer from an adult, and my peers were obviously young too, so they were going through the same things. So it made me feel like I was a lone wolf. I had to deal with a lot of things on my own.
Okay, so it sounds like the influence from each of your families pushed off that reach out to mental health. And it sounds like also emphasizing that in a room full of people who create programs and policy and things like that, it's important to know that every family is different. And we've heard from two perspectives from Black households, but every Black household is different. But there are other households who deal with this as well for whatever reason. Thinking that mental health is weak or you shouldn't cry or things like that. So, for those of us in the room, to make it more accessible, to put it within reach, to give other messages to counteract maybe some discouragement or minimizing things at home is going to be really important because we never know what people are dealing with.
Yeah, even like going to school, trying to reach out to adults at school, I didn't get the proper answer as well, nor the proper resources. So,
Thank you so much. So, for this next question, we would like to ask, when it comes to reaching out for mental health support, what barriers or challenges have you personally faced? And let's start off with Jen.
Um, some barriers that I faced. Number one, I didn't know what mental health was until I met Kia. And that was like at 15 years old. From the time I was 11, I was unhoused and being abused all the way until I was older. So, really, by the time I learned about mental health, I just I didn't even think it was real. I just I just was worried about surviving, worried about how I'm gonna get to school, how I'm gonna finish school, what am I gonna do in this life, where am I gonna sleep, and while I was in school, I had no idea where to look. Honestly, somebody at the school should have been telling me where to go. So I think that's the barrier that I faced, just not knowing in general. And then when I learned about it, I didn't understand it. I was like told of it, but I didn't truly understand the meaning of taking care of my mental health, if that makes any sense.
Thank you so much, Jen. You have a really powerful story. We appreciate you sharing it in this space. And so it sounds like some of the barriers you faced were housing abuse, trying to just get through school and graduate, and just not having the information, but also the adults around you not being knowledgeable and having that information so that even when you reached out, you weren't necessarily being, well, not necessarily, you said it, you weren't being led in the appropriate direction to get your basic needs met and then exploring what mental health is. She said what she said. Queen, would you like to add to this question?
yes, Jen made an amazing point regarding youth having to fend for themselves at such a young age. A barrier that I dealt with was being able to take that first step to look for help and look for resources. And it's so crazy to deal with it at such an early age. Um, at 17, I was not in a stable home. Me and my mom just moved to Sacramento. And we had to stay with one of her long-term friends that is not the best to me as a teen, and it only made it worse when my mom had to go away for a while. So usually you go to your parents, and they say, "Hey, you got a doctor's appointment," or "I set up this doctor's appointment," or "Hey, I bought you your favorite snacks from the grocery store." Having to do that at 17 for yourself is a huge step. So when it comes to dealing with what's at home, going to school, mental health is such a challenge. And having to take that step instead of bottling it in to the point where you can't is a huge barrier that I have to deal with.
Thank you, Queen. And you bring up some really important points that are going to unfortunately be true for many of the youth that we are building these programs for. As Kia said previously, and as you reiterate, there is an assumption that the youth that we work with have adults that are going to partner with them to access the resources. And that is not always the case, even with wonderful parents, even with well intentioned parents. They're not always able to life be lifing on a regular basis. And so oftentimes these young people are left to look for resources for themselves, as you said, not necessarily being in stable housing. So having to take on what many of us consider adult stressors, but many of the youth that we work with deal with day-to-day stressors like that. And then still having to figure out what is mental health, how do I navigate it, is this a thing, or am I just weak, and if I tell somebody, will they help me? Thank you. So next, we would like to ask, why do you think it is so important that youth voices are included in shaping mental health policies, programs, and resources? And Queen, I'd like to start with you.
Um, it is so crucial for youth, especially BIPOC, LGBTQ, fostered and unhoused youth, to be heard and at the center of the process of mental health policymaking, because they are the youth that go through it the most and want to see change within their community. We are in a time where youth are no longer censored from what's going on in today's society. So they know a lot more, they have a lot more knowledge, therefore, they have things to say. These are our future leaders later on, so why shouldn't they be heard and at the center of this time?
Thank you so much, Queen. Absolutely. We don't have to wait for them to be the future leaders, they can be our right now collaborators. And I really appreciate that you emphasizing that youth of color, BIPOC, unhoused, you gave more populations, because as we are hearing in the conversation, these programs, even when they include youth, are including the youth who have enough bandwidth to access being a part of the things. The youth who are not navigating survival are usually the youth that get to speak up in some of these spaces. And so it is our jobs to do more to include the youth, to give them the resources where they feel stable enough to have these conversations that are happening now. So thank you for highlighting that. Let's also get input on this question from Jenaya.
Yes, I know that our voices of the youth and BIPOC and LGBTQ community are so very important, because a lot of the times our voices are not taken as serious as those in privileged communities. And our voices are a very amazing and powerful way that we stand up for ourselves when others simply won't or can't. And it's a way that we just get out there and we can speak out about those things that are going on in our communities and we also see in other communities. And a lot of the time when our minds are strong and we have a very strong voice, people don't like that at all. And it's a way that we speak out about the things that are wrong. And hold on, y'all. Give me a second. It's a way that we could take control and shape our communities. And a lot of people have like idea of like who we are, but us speaking out and having other people hear what we have to say is a way that we could show who we are instead of other people assuming who we are.
Absolutely well said. I really heard and I really appreciate when you said our voices aren't taken seriously, because sometimes when youth are invited to the table, they're there as decoration. They're there to say, look, we brought the youth here, but being able to take youth voice seriously as partners and collaborators. So I thought that was so important, just one of the things that you said, and the idea of who youth are versus who you really are. A lot of us adults, we have great ideas, and we'll come in with this fully formed idea and then say, this is good, right? For a youth sign off. But we are working from an idea as opposed to working with an actual person who's experiencing it. And then what was especially powerful for me, and I'm sure everyone here took something different from your answer, was that they don't like it when we have strong voices and strong personalities. That ain't no realer. They ain't no realer statement in that. There's no better way to say it. That is very real. As adults, we're like, watch your tone, watch your this. You can't come unless X, Y, Z. And that is how we put up barriers against these strong voices and not wanting to be called out on our own stuff. So good job. And we have a third youth voice in this. Jen, what do you have to say about this question?
As a former youth organizer, I was blessed with a position at 18 years old. At first, I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, there were so many systems that needed to be changed. But after being with a very supportive org and learning the ins and the outs, I learned that youth are essential to shaping mental health. We definitely know what we want. Just because we act confused doesn't mean we're confused, okay? But what I think is that it only takes one adult to make a leader, to just, tell that person. They may be shy or they may have it. They might be like, ooh, 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 right? It takes one person, one of you guys, to just make a youth believe in themselves. When you give them that, that encouragement and those gems that you guys have been taught and share knowledge with us, right? It changes us a lot. Like when I was young, I never knew that there was a job in youth organizing. I was like, doctor or lawyer. Like that's what I heard. So when I got into this role of being a organizer, not the participant anymore, I was asking the youth, what do you guys need? What do you guys want? I'm still a youth. I'm only 18. But it was an amazing experience, and definitely having support from the adults, it really means the most. And definitely us working together, it definitely could change the culture of shaping mental health.
I heard that call out, Jen. It only takes one of y'all. It's a room full of y'all. It only takes one. We appreciate the call out. Thank you for reading the room to filth. So youth are essential. Thank you. I'd like to reiterate what you said. Absolutely essential in these programs. Other panelists have said, and to become a youth leader and then to behave in the way that helped you come up to that level and to bring youth with you as you go, I think is an amazing thing. And it's what we talk about when we talk about sustainability, right? So let's keep that in mind as we continue to our fourth question. How have community-based organizations like SistaBees supported or influenced your mental health journey? What role do you think community organizations and spaces in supporting youth mental health? I'd like to repeat that. How have community-based organizations like SistaBees supported or influenced your mental health journey? What role do you think community organizations and spaces have in supporting youth mental health and wellness. And I'd like to give the mic back to Jen.
I think community-based organizations like SistaBees supported my mental health and being that adult I was talking about, okay? I met Kia because I just wanted a Sharpie to write on my basketball. I wasn't going to program, okay? I was at the community center trying to play basketball, and I just kept seeing her. She's like, come in, you know, we're all girls. We got food. I'm like, nah, I don't want to use y'all for food, you know? Then one day I was probably really hungry, you know? But she supported me so much. One day I was going to SCOE. I didn't even know what SCOE was, the Sacramento County Office of Education. I was brand new to Sacramento, but she was like, you know, you should come to this census thing. I didn't even know what census was. So I go and see all of these other schools, you know, trying to work on a project, and we're like the only community-based organization. Everybody else is a school. And I happened to meet my principal there, and he's like, I need you on my civil team. I'm like, I'm already with, you know, some good people. I don't need to be over there. So all that to say, I started off just like that, confused, but a leader. And then as the years went and I got older, I started really like I started molding into this organizer and really starting to understand the concept of, you know, the efforts. Like, I know that everybody in here works towards something, right? And for us youth, we have such strong passion. Like when we're hurt by things, we grow up and we want to give back. Like that's all we want to do. So, for example, me, you know, meeting Kia and then me getting a job in organizing, that was a full circle moment. Like at 18 years old, I don't know if I would have had a roof over my head or food in my fridge if it wasn't for the support of people I met through organizing. So definitely it changed my life for the better. And I'm not the same person I was years ago. I, what he was talking about, transformative, yes, transformative, okay?
Always been amazing, and now you amazinger. So I hear you saying that the role that the community organization, specifically SistaBees, the one that you encountered, has had in your life. I heard about that repeat invitation. That come on, come in. Like you wouldn't, like you said, you weren't going in there for anything. The consistency,
The consistency.
youth voice. The consistency of that invitation, the being taken seriously when you finally said yes, going to a space that felt important and like your voice was going to be heard. And I really want to uplift the food because for so many reasons, that was important. And I know the reason I want to uplift that isn't just to, you know, get a giggle, but I've been in policy meetings, I've been looking at budget lines, I've been a part of grant writing, and it is not taken very seriously. And some things say you can do everything but buy food. But this youth has said before, sometimes we don't have the housing, sometimes we don't have food, sometimes our parents can't do the thing. And so that invitation with food isn't just about fun, it can also be about survival to invite them in. So appreciate you uplifting that. Queen, what do you have to say?
I just want to set the record. When I met SistaBees, it was originally called IQ Squad. And that was 8 years ago that I got introduced. And the first thing I got called was, damn, you so bubbly. I always had a positive spirit, but was going through so much at home. And community-based organizations like SistaBees played a tremendous part of keeping me away from those dark times that I had to go back home to. SistaBees has helped me put me in better situations that cater to self-care and keep in a better headspace. Kia which is boss and CEO, she led those spaces and made sure everyone felt welcome all the time, every time. Even at times where we all needed to cry, we would all cry together. The best thing that I've learned from her was networking. Getting to meet other youth and being able to utilize our voices at such dark times was so important. And it helped me be able to be on this stage today because 16-year-old me would not do this at all. Um, I was also introduced to SAC Hub, which is in the Oak Park community. They helped me network even further to go to different communities and speak with different youth that were diverse that wanted to see better in their community. So we would exchange. I've been to, oh my God, I've been to Salina, California to speak with different communities there. And yeah, um, to bring that point all together, as Jen said, dark times at home really affected us, and going to Kia just restarted that whole system. It helped me realize that my voice is important and I should be heard in more ways than one. So, yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, you had amazing points. I will not summarize them because I want these last minutes to be the youth voice. So I'm going to ask our final question is, if you had the chance to speak directly to policymakers, school leaders, and other adults who make decisions about mental health support, what changes would you want to see to make resources more equitable and accessible? And the follow-up question to this is that how can youth be in position to be a part of the change and lead the way? And we will start with Jen.
If I were to speak to policymakers, I would want to tell them that if you want to make mental health truly equitable and sustainable, adults need to listen to us and invest in us and support us, collaborate with us. And to, the second part of the question, provide us jobs, provide us career paths. Don't just want us for numbers in your program, for your grants, okay? We know what's going on already. We're grown now. But that's what I would say. Help us create a sustainable life for us because I know that we deserve a good life. We're not bad kids. We just needed guidance.
We'll go right down the line. Queen, same question.
Um, if I had a chance to speak directly to policymakers, school leaders, and adults, my advice to them would be to stop ignoring mental health crisis in youth spaces and have more training dedicated to how to handle a youth that is going through mental health within schools, in their communities, in their spaces. There's not enough training for that. You know, you see a kid crying in your room or angry and upset, you don't send them out or say, hey, do you need a break? You find protocols and figure out how to handle that, apply resources to these youth that are going through it. What was the second question?
The second part, the question was put youth in position, and if there was one thing they could do to put youth in position to be a part of the change.
Youth can help transform the community by breaking generational curses that we are used to going through, not speaking up, not helping one another. It should be a space where two youth can help youth instead of trying to run to an adult who doesn't know what they're doing yet. We'll get there. But if I can go to Jenaya or Jen and be like, hey, how are you feeling? Are you okay? Do you need this? Do you need that? And then go to a adult, say, hey, we need this resource because this person is going through it. I feel like youth are fully capable of doing that, and adults just have to take that step in pushing them off that nest.
Right. Thank you. Let's pass it forward to Jenaya.
If If I had a chance to speak directly to policymakers, I would just tell them to come out into communities. Just like how all of y'all are in this room right now, listening to us and trying to make a difference. What really makes a difference is actually showing that you care instead of like being behind the scenes and maybe have someone else come out and talk to people. Your actions will always speak louder than your words. And when you actually show that you care, then people will follow. And then us youth will be like, okay, maybe they actually do care and will actually go into those paths of wanting to do better and make a way for themselves. It's all just about showing up. That's the like how Miss Shake and Miss Kia, how they got us on this stage. That was really very, very, very. I'm gonna emphasize on this. Powerful and amazing of them to do that because not a lot of the times we're not being y'all just like, oh yeah, we have a way to like figure out how to help y'all, but you don't actually ask us or see us for what we actually need. Just assume that you know what we need, and that's not okay.
Thank you. So, Jenaya, Queen, Jen, our expert panel, thank you so much. I hear the call to action is including you, authenticity, and bringing in actual resources to help you make a better life for yourself and just to continue to work with the youth. I know that many of the audience members were inspired by what you've shared and your stories. Thank you for being so transparent here on this stage. And the contact information to work with the youth or work with SistaBees are there. Please continue to talk to them, say hi, tell them how wonderfully they did as you are on break. But I just want to say thank you so much to the panel. We can give them a round. And thank you to the audience for your attention and your intention and being a part of this conversation.